For California, massive power blackouts could become a new way of life. California's really struggling, folks. It's only the fifth largest GDP on the frickin' planet. But if you live in California, which is the fifth largest GDP on the frickin' planet, there's a couple things you can't count on. One of them, well, we don't have healthcare for everyone in the state. Sorry, can't manage healthcare for everyone in the state. Fifth largest GDP in the world. Can't manage healthcare for everyone. We also can't build a high-speed rail from San Diego to San Francisco. Don't know why. Just can't do it for some reason. Don't know how to do that. Don't even know how to do that in the city of Los Angeles. Whoopsie daisy. Oh, and here's another thing we can't do. Power. Do you count on it? You might not be able to. Let's see what's going on. For California, massive power blackouts could become a way of life as PG&E begins a second round of fire safety shutoffs. It warns a third, bigger blackout could be needed as soon as the weekend. Who is PG&E, by the way? A quick refresher. PG&E is the organization who has mismanaged funds for years, is now facing a lot of problems, and it's their fault that the fires happened. It's because of their negligence the fires happened. PG&E has been corrupt and failing for years and years, and they're likely facing zero consequences for it. So over in Los Angeles, hundreds of thousands of residents of Northern California whose powers will be shut off in the next 2 days got even worse news Wednesday. Another even larger blackout is likely over the weekend. The state's largest utility, PG&E, began shutting off electricity to nearly 500,000 people Wednesday afternoon, the second massive blackout in 2 weeks. It said hot, dry winds and low humidity were creating a high risk of sparks and rapid wildfire spread from its long neglected power lines. Underline that long neglected part. Resources aren't being utilized properly. And I understand that there's certain things weather-wise that are out of everybody's hands that California deals with. I understand that, but clearly resources are not being utilized properly because, again, California, fifth largest GDP in the frickin' world. There are plenty of resources in California. The fires should have been prevented. At least they should have never gotten to the extent that they got. The blackouts will eventually spread to parts of 17 counties, including such large communities as Santa Rosa, Sonoma, and Napa, but not San Francisco or San Jose, at least through Thursday afternoon and through Friday afternoon in other parts of the region. Let's see. In the southern part of the state, Southern California Edison said Wednesday night that it was monitoring more than 300,000 customers for potential power shutoff that could begin Thursday. That's today as of the recording and streaming of this. The potential coverage area includes such large communities as San Bernardino, Malibu, Irvine, Glendale, and Palm Springs, but not Los Angeles itself, which is served by a separate power company. Nearly 3,000 customers were without power early Thursday. That's today. And Ventura County in Southern California, Utility Southern California, Edison said. Man, so that's happening. Fifth largest GDP in the world. Can't really depend on having power because resources weren't utilized properly to prevent or at least minimize the effects of weather. It's not like this is something California hasn't been dealing with for a long time. We know what the weather's like in California. It's pretty easy to predict. If you are going to California, especially Southern California, guess what? It's probably going to be sunny. We've known this for a long time now. George Carlin could be the weatherman for California and get it right. He could bring back the hippy-dippy weatherman. Today's forecast, bright. The evening's forecast, dark. Remember that character? It was hilarious. He could have been the actual weatherman for California. We would have loved it. I would have. So, and of course, in other parts of the state, it's a little different, but still fairly easy to predict. So they should have been able to prepare for this properly, but they didn't. And funds were mismanaged and resources were mismanaged, and it screwed over the customers. And hopefully they end up fixing this and addressing the corruption. And their answer is not, let's just privatize everything and make everything infinitely worse. Let's privatize things further and make it worse. Hopefully that's not the solution. But hey, you live in the fifth largest GDP in the world. You might not be able to count on power on a regular basis. What do you call that? You call that a failed system. Things aren't going well. When you're a country with the fifth largest GDP in the world and power is not something you can assume you have the majority of the time, something ain't going right. Something's being horribly mismanaged. Because our taxes are not getting lower here in California, that's for sure. Again, 5th largest GDP in the world. We should have things in place to prevent things like this, or at least minimize their impact. Just like we should have things in place to minimize the impact of climate change and to adapt properly. Anyway, so that's going on.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah.